wants to abolish the penny?
He doesn't want to abolish it as much as he wants to give his boss a reason why we can't.
Well, it's stupid.
Yeah, the thing is, it isn't really.
Really?
Turns out the majority of pennies don't circulate. They go in jars, sock drawers. 2/3 of the pennies produced in the last 30 years have dropped out of circulation.
If Elon Musk gets his way, that decades-old pitch from the West Wing could become reality. The United States may soon say sayonara to copper coins. In its stated quest to eliminate waste, the Department of Government Efficiency pointed out on X that producing pennies cost taxpayers nearly $180 million in the fiscal year of 2023. That same year, the U.S. Mint reported that roughly 4 billion pennies were put in circulation that year and reported that the cost of producing them is actually increasing. It costs, believe it or not, just under 4 cents to produce and distribute a single penny. That's up 20% from the previous year. Why the added expense? The rising cost of metals like zinc and copper. And now, as you saw in that clip, people have been advocating for eliminating the penny for years, especially as shoppers have migrated online where cash takes a backseat to plastic and other intangible methods like Apple Pay or Venmo. Some businesses and workers are also getting behind this push. A VP at the National Association of Convenience Stores, where cash does remain dominant, tells CNN that about 52 million in-person cash transactions happen at convenience stores every single day. And they make this argument, quote, maybe I could get better at the magic wall. They say, quote, if we save every one of these customers 2 seconds, that's 104 million seconds, or 1,203 days. And that doesn't factor in time compounding, saving 2 seconds for the other people waiting in line before they get to pay. They essentially argue that we'd save a ton more time if clerks and cashiers didn't have to sit there simply counting pennies. Recently, a New York Times Magazine story put it this way. The necessity of abolishing the penny has been obvious to those in power for so long that the inability to accomplish it has transformed the coin into a symbol of deeper rot. In so many ways, we've seen Donald Trump break with precedent. Could his administration now permanently do away with a single cent? A sock full of pennies for your thoughts.
You know, it's certainly an idea that's been raised several times. Be interesting to see if it finally happens.
In Washington tonight, lawmakers on either side of the aisle coming together on a topic that many Americans seem to agree on. It's the penny. Has the time come and gone, of course.
Well, 2 new bills are now going through Congress that are begging the question, is it finally time to say goodbye to the 1-cent coin? Julie Sirkin reports.
It's the coin almost as old as America itself. The first one, by some accounts, designed by founding father Ben Franklin, although he likely never said that famous phrase, a penny saved is a penny earned. But after 238 years in circulation, that's a sentiment that no longer rings true.
I don't think I've used the coin, penny, or let alone any other type of coin in a few years at least.
If I get a penny, I either keep it in my pocket or just throw it somewhere in my house.
This week, a bipartisan group of lawmakers is reviving a push to eliminate penny production at a time of rising inflation.
Why do you think people want to get rid of pennies?
Well, I'll tell you, it now costs 4 pennies to make 1 penny. And that, if you want an example of waste, that's it.
It's a move that's been floated by generations of politicians. From then President Obama,
anytime we're spending more money on something that people don't actually use,
to President Trump,
the penny is gone.
Who in February ordered the Treasury to stop producing new pennies.
In the context of bipartisanship and good stewardship, let's get this done.
The first bill in Congress to eliminate the penny, way back in 1989. prompting this NBC News report on its dismal reputation.
When we put a few pennies on the sidewalk, no one bothered to pick them up. Long gone are the days when a penny could buy a jawbreaker, 2 pennies could mail a first-class letter, and 3 pennies buy a newspaper.
The pro-penny lobby, Americans for Common Sense, declined NBC News' request for an interview on this new legislation, but noted eliminating the penny alone will lead to over $200 million in annual losses on nickel production. That's because phasing out the penny means using more nickels, which cost almost 14 cents each to make. Do you think people will miss pennies at all?
Well, there might be a little affection for all of us who grew up sorting them in jars and putting them in little 50-cent wrappers.
So pinch your pennies while you still can.
I just feel like that's kind of an iconic thing to get rid of. Like, I still pick up heads-up pennies sometimes for good luck.
Before they all finally go to heaven.
There'll be pennies from heaven for you.
So apparently abolishing the penny is a popular idea among the American public, but not as popular as one may think.
A recent survey from the National Association of Convenience Stores found only about 36% of consumers are in favor of getting rid of the coin.
Some good news there. All right.
Wondering